Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. King George, this is your worst king ever, all right? My name's Connor, Rhode Island, New England, USA, in that order. Let's learn. Original link to the video, top of the description, Discord, right below that. Was Mad King George really mad with Andrew Roberts and Dan Snow? Let's go. This was the American Revolution king, correct?
Okay, Andrew Roberts, these are the questions. Was King George III actually mad?
Yes.
I thought he might, he didn't hesitate at all.
But not forever. I mean, just in those 5 short periods.
What is the most common misconception about George III?
That he had porphyria. He didn't.
Could the American Revolution have been George III?
That he had porphyria.
Porphyria?
He didn't.
Could the American Revolution have been avoided?
No, I don't think so. They wanted to be independent by the late 1760s, early 1770s.
Damn right, brother.
Questions. Can you tell us something unexpected about the the Declaration of Independence?
Yes, only 2 of the 28 clauses in it hold water.
Perhaps we should go through it in detail at some stage in the future. Who would you most like to go for a pint with, George III, Churchill, or Napoleon?
Churchill every time.
Napoleon for me, for sure.
Not least because he would probably not stop after 1 pint.
Although I wouldn't be able to understand him. That means assuming you could speak French. George III. Sorry, I gotta...
Not least because he would probably not stop after 1 pint.
Who would have been the most successful at speed dating?
What, out of those 3?
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Yeah.
Yeah, George III fell in love with his wife. He married her 6 hours after having met her for the first time, and then fell in love with her subsequently. And also, Churchill was in love with his wife throughout his life as well. Never looked at another woman. Napoleon, on the other hand, had 28 mistresses. So I think we can definitely assume that he'd be the best at speed dating.
What similarities does George have with our current Queen?
Lots. They both believe in duty, they both believe in hard work, they're both frugal and prudent financially.
If you could ask George III anything, what would it be?
Why are you such an arsehole with America, okay?
It would be the question I've just been asked by your viewer, would be, do you think that the American War of Independence could possibly have been avoided, and if so, when?
Interesting. Since I've got you, I'm going to have to say, come on, if you could sit down with Churchill, you're having that pint.
Imagine if the US and Canada were still part of the UK.
What would you ask Churchill?
I'd ask him where he got his sense of destiny from. This amazing belief in himself that you know, he was going to save England and the Empire and so on. Where did that all come from? Was it his aristocratic background? Was it his Harrow? Was it something to do with being related to the Duke of Marlborough? Or where's it come from?
Because he was spouting it as a schoolboy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said at the age of 16 that he was going to save London and save the Empire.
To be fair, I probably said that at 16 as well.
I was just about to say, it's like the question of how is it that the Earth has all these little things? This is a terrible analogy. I'm gonna say it anyway. You know, like the Goldilocks zone, and people say, how could all of life? How could? Do you know what I mean? Like, how come the Earth is the perfect place? Well, ask all of the other millions of planets that are dead and have no life on them. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, that was such a bad analogy, but God, never mind. Go for it.
Grey-haired podcast host, so there we go. If you could be a fly on the wall for any event in history, what could it be?
Oh.
Signing of the Declaration, maybe.
Golly, it's usually the thing I'm writing about at the time, but in fact, it would be, on this occasion, it would be the meeting between Churchill, Halifax, and 2 others, Neville Chamberlain and the Chief Whip.
I just want to say, that was such a great answer.
It would be, it's usually the thing I'm writing about at the time, but
it's usually the thing I'm writing about at the time. I'd say that usually the thing I'm learning about at the time. I guess it would change.
In fact, it would be, on this occasion, it would be the meeting between Churchill, Halifax, and two others, Neville Chamberlain and the Chief Whip, that decided that it was going to be Churchill rather than Halifax who was put forward as Prime Minister on the 9th of May 1940.
Definitely.
4:30 in the afternoon, that's where I'm going to be the fly on the wall.
Are you a fan of Hamilton, and what's the best song, if so?
I am a fan. I love all the three showstoppers that George III comes out with, especially the bit about I will kill your family in order to show you of my love. Even though it's completely wrong about George III, needless to say, it's impossible to stop your toe tapping.
I agree. Who is your history hero?
Golly, that's a good one. Well, actually, Benjamin Disraeli. I think you were talking earlier about David Lloyd George being the outsider. Disraeli was, of course, also massively an outsider, and yet near bankrupt, and he became the most powerful man in the world.
Were you one of the? Oh, did you watch Bridgerton? And if so, what do you think of King George and Queen Charlotte? Were they in Bridgerton? Okay.
They were, yes. I thought that I enjoyed the only episode that I've seen, but not so much that I wanted to see any more. And the person playing Queen Charlotte is very much not like the demure, quiet Queen Charlotte. she's a hell of a character, but she's not like Queen Charlotte.
As one of the world's best biographers, recommend a biography for us all to read.
Golly, that's a good question. I would say Talleyrand by Alfred Duff Cooper. It's a beautiful book. It's a piece of literature, and it's actually historically quite accurate as well.
Who are you going to write about next?
I'm going to write about Lord Northcliffe, the press baron who owned 40% of the British press at the time of the outbreak of the Great War. Very important person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I loved it. I love that guy. He seems so. Just seems like a historian writer. Seems like he'd be really nice to sit down and have a chat with. Awesome. History hit. Love the channel. Been binging it. Alrighty. I'm going to watch Faulty Towers, or what's that other one? No horses, men and horses, something like that. All right. See you next.